Hey guys, welcome back. This is a part 2 update video on the restoration of my eBay deal. This is the HPI Firestorm Flux. I paid $95 for it. It included a whole bunch of parts and a couple extras, and I thank the seller, and I still am very grateful that they were included. I was able to put together a pretty nice looking RC with only a small amount of spending. The main thing that I spent money on, and actually the only thing I spent money on, and we're going to take a look deep inside the chassis here in a little while, are the drive shafts. So one of the CVDs was destroyed, so it's missing the actual dog bone part of this that goes into the differential unit. I had to purchase a new one. I tried to fabricate one was included, but as soon as I started cutting into it, the little pin at the bottom here pretty much melted out, and it was destroyed. So this doesn't fit. I had to get a whole new set. I was able to find a really good deal on these. Now, if you look on eBay, the metal parts for pretty much all the HPIs are a massive ripoff. So two little outdrive cups, such as this, which were included, they're about $16, just for two. And chances are you're gonna destroy these all the time. These are really powerful brushless systems, and they go through these HPI metal parts quick. What I was able to find is a whole kit like this. This is a whole bunch of little parts. It looks like it was obviously not in the original manufacturing packaging. This is from dollarhobby.com on eBay. I paid $20 plus $3 shipping for pretty much everything to do with the front and the rear drivetrain. So I have two dog bones, I have two of the outdrive cups, two wheel axles, I have four of the metal wheel hubs, and a whole bunch of little wheel pins, and obviously the nuts that go onto the wheels here. So really important, and this could be used on actually a couple of my HPIs, including the HPI Blitz, because they share a lot of the same drivetrain components. So this really was a lifesaver. If it wasn't for this kit, I would have to buy the two dog bones and the two axles for about, I think it would have been about $40 for just, those things. And honestly, that's a lot, $40 for just a couple metal parts. It really kind of irritated me, but luckily Dollar Hobby, I was able to source some stuff. They have a whole bunch of parts there, and this is not one of my sponsors. I'm just letting you guys know I'm not sponsored by anybody. I wish I was, but I'm not. This is actually my own personal hobby, and I enjoy doing this. So let's take a look under the chassis, see what it's got. I was able to pretty much fully refurbish this RC. Today we're not going to do a running video because it's raining outside here, but we're going to do a top speed run, and we're going to do some kind of durability montage later on. The body cleaned up really well. As I said before, all you got to do is put a little bit of WD-40 on it, wipe it off with the towel, and it's going to be shiny like this, right? As long as there's no cracks, and there are no cracks in this one, it's going to be a nice little turnaround for the body. Right, so here it is. Look at this chassis. It's almost brand new. If you recall last time, I don't know where the old chassis was, but this thing was fully destroyed here at the bottom. All I did was disassemble pretty much the whole rear end. I replaced, as I said, the dog bone drive shafts. Now it all works fine. The main thing here, if you noticed, I have this cool wire mesh protector. Really important, guys, that you protect all your wires. This RC had major issues with a lot of the wires being torn, and you know what? I'm gonna also insulate the other wire set here eventually, but for now I just wanted to show you guys the difference here. All this stuff is basically this. So you have some heat shrink tubing here, and you have a 6mm wire mesh. All you do is put your wires inside this, and it protects it from any sort of abrasions. As you kind of expand like this, it gets a little thicker, so you could squeeze a whole bunch of wires in there and then, just close it shut, kind of like a finger trap. You guys ever use those at carnivals? They give you those finger traps. You can't get your finger out of there. So really useful. It also makes it look really nice. Look how nice this looks. I mean, this is nice and clean. The edges of the mesh, you have the heat shrink tubing here, so you're able to fully insulate it and make it pretty well, in the long run. I had to use some hot glue in some of these connections here just because it had exposed wiring. Now the hot glue doesn't do anything because clearly it doesn't go through the whole cable itself, but it is a good weatherproofer and a good insulator. I had to bend back this really disgusting destroyed Integy motor mount in the back here. It's got the motor protector. It really doesn't do anything. You could take it off, but normally this is a plastic piece. I basically just bent it back with a couple wires. Now it doesn't actually contact the motor. Before, it caused a small crater kind of in the motor can, but it's not the end of the world. It still functions. All I did was use hot glue to mount all of these electronics. I really like hot glue because it's easy to work with and you can remove it anytime. It's also a really good tool to use on your wires. You see right here I have hot glue just holding the wires together. If you want to pull it apart, you can. It doesn't destroy the chassis and it's really easy cleanup. I actually like this more than double-sided tape because it doesn't leave any glue or residue. All you take is a small screwdriver, flathead, and you scrape it off. It's good. The servo itself was good, nothing wrong with it. ESC works fine. I use the ESC that does have the on-off switch, and I mounted it right here on the battery holder, so it's fine. It runs pretty okay. Let me put in a battery pack in here, and we'll see just, you know, how the electronics work. Here we go, guys. The ESC is armed. The steering is good. Look at that. Look at that steering. Look at that. It's great. Let's see some of the throttle here. So these wheels, you know, they're pretty much trash. They're not balanced. You can see how much they vibrate, and they're not fully glued, so it is vibrating a little bit. I'll probably just re-glue them, maybe cut out some of the foam inside, and it'll be a better fit for the rim itself. These two-wheel drive stadium truck layouts are the easiest to work on. They're basically just flat chassis designs. You have a simple rear drivetrain transmission. There's no, you know, forward. There's obviously no front differential here. It's front wheel drive. And it should be a good speed monster. So as I said before, these are claimed to do 77 miles per hour from HPI. But I'll tell you this Castle motor in here is a more powerful motor than an original HPI motor. So, you know, ideal conditions, this should be faster than the 77 miles per hour. Now, of course, I doubt I'll ever get to that speed. I'll be happy if I actually do 55 on this. And later on, when we go outside and speed test it, we're gonna see for real. This thing should be able to handle the speed pretty well. You know, as long as the tires are pretty good. The tires are key when you're trying to do speed runs on anything basically over 50 miles an hour. One of my favorite things about the Castle ESC systems is the fact that it comes with a Castle Link. I'm lucky enough to have this Castle Link, which is a USB programming kit. It comes with this small little CD. You put it into your Windows-based computer, not a Mac. Of course, I always use Mac, but you know what? I had to get my old Asus out for this. Basically, just put in your USB cable right into the ESC plug. I have it right here. It flashes. That means it's connected. And then you could set all sorts of parameters on the ESC. I noticed that the brake was engaging just too much. So you know what? Let's check out what the settings are. We're going to program this thing together. I have it hooked up right here to my computer. So let's see what it is. Now let's check out some of the settings. I'm going to go into the basic settings. Hopefully you guys can see this. So we have a couple of parameters here. One is the auto lipo, which is good. There are small asterisks here, which means a recommended setting. We want to keep it at that. Auto lipo cutoff at 3.2 volts, perfect. What I see here is reverse type is crawler reverse. I'm going to change that to just regular reverse. The reason is it engages reverse pretty much almost instantly. So there's no neutral position. That's why whenever I press the reverse, it almost instantly went into full reverse. Not good for the gears. So it looks like one of the settings on the ESC were wrong. I never use that. Motor direction is normal, brushless, beep enabled. You could also adjust the amount of drag braking right here. We have it at 50%, which is... You could also adjust the amount of brake amount, which is 50% recommended. See the asterisk, we're going to keep it as it is. Drag brake set to custom 5%. I'll keep it at that. You could change it to whatever setting you want. You also have a full control of your forward and reverse power controls. So here I have max reverse power at 50, which is recommended. I'm going to change it to 30%. I don't need that much reverse. 100% forward is enabled, which is good. You also have punch control, very important. This is the amount of power that is pretty much put through the wheels at the beginning. 100% is full power. Of course, you know, if you have a slip or some of that is going to be mitigated. 80% is pretty good. I would say that's medium to high. We're not going to do the torque motor test because the RC is not on right now, just connected. You have a couple of other advanced settings here for motor timing, throttle curves, brake curves, and a couple software updates. We're really only interested in the forward and the brake control amounts and the power at this point. So I'm going to save everything. I'm going to press update here at the bottom, and it'll send all these specs to our ESC. This system works really well. Almost every time I've gotten one, it's been messed up one way or another. The settings have been always wrong, and people a lot of times thought they were just broken because of that. So there is still some work I have to do on this chassis, basically, you know, to do with the wheels themselves. I have some nice wheels, but these seem to fit really well. well. I just gotta glue them, make sure they're balanced so there's no vibrations going on. These are very similar to the Traxxas Rustler. It's basically the same chassis layout, the same exact classification of RC. But I always kind of like the HPI brand myself. That's where I got my start in the hobby business itself. And I decided to pick up one of their newer kits. Unfortunately, these are just so expensive brand new that, you know, I definitely wouldn't want to spend over $300 for this. But, you know, for the amount I paid on it, used with all the parts, this was a no-brainer. So there it is, guys. Thanks for watching this second part update video. If you have any questions, comments, or concerns, or you want to know how I did this wiring, please put in the comments. I'm always happy to answer everybody out there. Thanks so much for watching. Till next time.